I'm Heather Ferguson, and you have found a Sonar moment.
I'm a hippie, corporate hippie.
We're aware of the risks, but we're willing to ignore them for the moment.
I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room.
That a complaint is actually a request.
It's the Sonar Moment, a monthly interview with CEOs from the Pacific Northwest. I'm here today with Peter Nieforth, President, TikToking, a new social media platform based here in Victoria, Canada. Peter, so many social platforms out there. What made you think of TikToking, and what is it?
Well, TikToking and where we started and where we are today is a little bit different. So I will say that our team and we have this extraordinary idea about connecting people all over the planet to really build digital empathy and connection based on interests. So the TIC in TikToking stands for things in common. And so it's about the interest graph and commonality of interests, connecting people all over the planet, 53 languages built into the platform. And that's what we set out to build. We're about 15, 16 months in. We've raised $1.6 million, part of a $2.5 million raise we're in the middle of doing right now. And you know, it is, you're right, it's about constantly pushing on and building the product. It's also getting out of the office, talking to real customers, finding out what is it that they need.
So you believe in the principles of lean startup. So I don't know if you've seen the HBR article, and they're talking about the importance of lean startup and how it's changing everything. You've really bought into that. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, this is my third software startup. And so I've seen how in the past, sort of pre-lean, and you can just Google lean startup and there's just a wealth of information about it. But the traditional sense of software and the traditional sort of methodology of software were these long development cycles where you would literally sit down and say, okay, well, these are all the features that we want in this particular product, heads down for a year, and then you'd come up for some air, and then you would put it out to market and see how it goes. And really that particular methodology is very expensive, takes a long time, and then sort of software sort of morphed into something called Agile, which was sort of regular releasing, so not waiting for a long development cycle. And then that also has some of its shortcomings, and sort of the evolution now is this concept of lean, where you really can take a business idea and test it before you, and validate that idea to know whether or not it is real or not. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, get really enrolled in their own idea, and yet may or may not have validated that idea in the marketplace. And so really it's the marketplace that's going to determine whether something is successful or not, whether that idea has merit or not, whether the business model around that idea is going to be successful or not. And we've seen a number of businesses, great products, bad sort of business model, they tweak the business model and then things take off. So it could be a combination, not always just the product or the technology, it could be also how that product or technology is being sold, the business model behind it, freemium versus premium, whether you're paying for it or it's free.
And that is going to change from the old business model, which was make a huge bet, shoot for the stars, flame out,
Yes, exactly.
because you're probably one of the 96%,
Exactly.
and start it all over again.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, give me an example from TikToking. So give me an example of something where you tried something, you realized that wasn't working, and you tweaked it, and then it moved.
Right. So one of the concepts around lean is to, as I say, take any idea and validate it. And you really want to validate and find out whether this is going to be a good idea or not. And when you look at any idea that we're trying to fulfill on, there's this whole notion around, well, we can't possibly let it fail. Right? But lean is
because it's our idea.
and didn't we learn in school that failure is really bad? So we're kind of wired that failure is not good. And so lean actually turns that on its head and says, you know what, it's all about failing as quickly as possible, because when you fail, then you know what doesn't work, and then you can make a course correction or adjustment and test something else, and maybe that works. But if that also fails, then you course correct and you go again.
And it's just a series of course corrections.
Yeah.
But you are really in startup mode, and you are trying to figure out what your business model is,
Absolutely.
right?
And you know, one of the things that has recently happened for us is that, you know, we were building this social networking platform, and then businesses were contacting us and asking to license it. And so we thought, well, wait a minute, we're building this, you know, social networking site, consumer facing, and then businesses said, but we need that. And so it was one of those, maybe not necessarily a failure, but it was just a course correction for us to actually pivot and go, oh, there's market here. There's a real need here, and there's revenue opportunity.
Well, when I talked to you, you were in the thick of it at that point.
Yes.
And so you may not have had a chance really to get the ramifications of it, which I guess is another part of startup, right? But I thought that was a very interesting piece where you've got this one product, and now people are saying, yes, that product is really good, but I'm really interested in this piece that underlies that one product. What happens then?
Well, I guess the learning that we had is that we discovered a market that wasn't necessarily apparent. It wasn't in plain sight for us. It was a concept. We thought, oh yes, maybe a company would want to license our technology, but we didn't have any idea to the degree of the pain that companies are facing, where they have large, massive audience of customers or users, and they're trying to figure out how to socialize with them. And so they're looking to our platform as a social platform to engage their community, to engage their customers, their audience, socialize, actually learn something about your customer. And so that was a real eye-opener for us, that we just had no idea that this was there for us. Like, we didn't know that was really a huge possibility.
So what does that do internally? I mean, you're moving along this path, and then partly because of the concepts and following lean, principles of lean startup, you now find you have another path that you could potentially move on. How does that affect your company internally? Do you have to start hiring? Do you start supporting this other path?
Yeah, I think focus is a huge thing. Going to market is a huge thing. And so, you know, in some cases, we hit a fork in the road, and you really, for a startup, for a company with limited resources, you have to make a choice. So when you come to that fork in the road, or you're heading down a path, maybe the fork hasn't yet even appeared, but then you feel pull and a tug to go another direction. We call that a pivot. And so you could pivot and even create that fork in the road. Again, go test it. You can, in lean startup, you can go test it. And so that's what we're doing right now, is we're testing out and proving out that actually the path that we were on, actually there's a fork in the road, and we're taking that fork in the road. So we're really pivoting and creating this whole new opportunity for us. And we can always come back, you know, to where you pivoted or where you left, because there could be something else there someday. We're not abandoning that. However, we're just changing our focus at this time and driving on.
Yeah, because one of the issues that any startup or any small business really has is really around opening too many fronts at one time. And lean startup, that would be one of the disadvantages, is it has that potential, doesn't it?
If you focus on all the opportunities, none of them may pan out. So you really do have to focus. It is a matter of focus, and I mean, when we look at successful entrepreneurs, I mean, their focus almost at times seems like tunnel vision. But it's also having that focus, but also being willing to listen to the market, to test those ideas, to validate them, to to turn assumptions and guesses into reality. And you can't lie to yourself about that as well. You need to say, okay, is that a guess or is that real?
Yeah.
And the only way you can determine whether something is a guess or real is actually to validate it in the marketplace with paying customers.
Peter, thank you so much for coming.
Oh,
We really
thank you.
appreciate this. And I just am so excited about TikToking, and I just hope in another year that you're exactly where you want to be.
Thank you.